Hey everybody, it's Alexis with Create Your Future. I am back with a new video, a new success story, and just some general tips on manifesting as I've been doing in my most recent videos. Before I get started, just a reminder that to book one-on-one coaching or one-on-one hypnosis with me, or to access any of my pre-recorded audios, it's all in the description box below, okay? So I've had a theme with clients recently that I think that if you're not reaching out for one-on-one coaching, then this might speak to you, or it will kind of give you motivation if you have a similar background as a couple clients I've had recently. So if this sounds like you, it's not necessarily your story that I'm saying because it's been a theme. There's usually themes with people over the years, and this has been the biggest theme. And I think it's actually a really important thing to touch upon because even if you haven't experienced physical violence in your relationship or physical violence with a partner, like this plethora of clients had. I'm saying again, this is not one person's story. This is a bunch of people. If you haven't had that, but you suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, or you have PTSD, or you've had trauma in your past, then this will really speak to you because that's what I've been noticing a lot recently is that clients are trying to manifest a specific person, change their viewpoint on love and relationships within themselves, but trauma from the past or domestic violence or something that was a pretty big deal in their situation is coming up. That's really what the biggest block is. And then that's getting pushed out and that's creating, and it's kind of underlying everything, if that makes sense. So let me just read this success story that I got in. That was a similar situation. So many emails trying to find it. All right. Dear Alexis, thank you so much for your compassion, your kindness, your understanding, and your ability to listen to my situation without judgment and give me tips to change it, both in my physical reality, within myself, and with my specific person. I realize now that so many of my past wounds were coming into my mind and coming into my energy and coming into my body that were blocking me from creating the everlasting love and relationship with my specific person that I desired. I realize now that it was all me, it wasn't him. Thank you so much for your help along the way. And I can now tell you that we are moving into a committed relationship. He's talked about having me move in with him, which, as you know, is exactly what I wanted. I can't wait to tell you more in our upcoming session. I intend for the best and wishing you and your family the best too, near Father's Day. Okay, which is so sweet. Now, okay, so what did this client have as her background? And then what have I seen recently with clients that are coming to me are people that have experienced trauma with their families, whether it be some kind of abuse that happened way back when, or they've experienced physical or some kind of trauma with previous partners, and even potentially their specific person, but they want to turn it around, okay? Now, like I tell everybody working with me and speaking to me about whatever you're going through, it's a non-judgmental place of compassion. That's how I'm wired. It's how I'm built. You could probably tell me anything and I would be like, okay, wow, because I've heard it all. Haven't seen it all, but I've heard it all, okay? So just saying that, if you're someone out there who feels embarrassed or feels like no one's understanding or feels like they're doing this on their own, you're not alone. We're all in this together. And just like I told this client, it's your choice to change you. Now, changing you and changing ourselves is something that we always have to do in terms of manifesting. So the way that we create our experience is this. We experience something in the past. Now, generally, there is either a significant person, if we have trauma, or if we have abuse, or and whether it's emotional or physical, you guys, it's actually very similar for the body and the mind. Deep emotional abuse or deep physical abuse can, like I said in my previous video, my previous success story, they can show up as us wanting to be controlling, overly controlling in terms of trying to control things outside of you is always what I mean. It does not mean controlling your thoughts, controlling your energy, controlling your state, controlling who you are. It's trying to control people outside of you by getting them to do what you need them to do so that you feel safe, you feel secure, you feel stable. It also shows up as being very, very independent, not allowing trust with others, not allowing yourself to be interdependent, and not allowing yourself to be in the flow of life and experiencing interdependence with other people. It's a steadfast need to be in control, making decisions, know what's going on because other people aren't trustworthy. So start asking yourself, if this speaks to you, do you have assumptions? Do you have beliefs that the outside world is a scary place, that people aren't trustworthy, that you can't rely on others, that you have to be independent, that you have to do everything? Because that way we kind of are in control of things, but then listen, we're never really allowing that deep love, deep commitment, that interdependence, because that's what we're striving for here, in my opinion. At this point in my evolution, that's what I do in my marriage, in my relationship, is working for interdependence. So we're collectively, consistently, continually working together to create our family, to create our relationship, and doing it together. Now, I'll tell you guys, there was a point in time where I wasn't able to do that because I too, because of things that I had experienced, just wasn't able to fully trust a partner, fully trust somebody else, and fully move forward even with my life, because I was trying to operate out of a different system. Okay, so in any event, if this speaks to you, then please know that you can override these old assumptions, old ideas, and how people show up by thinking new thoughts, of course, feeling new feelings, and being that version of you that is safe, stable, secure on his own, on her own, on your own, on their own, within. Okay. So really, really, really take this in and know that if you have suffered trauma, even with your specific person, you can create a new relationship. You can create you can manifest an apology. Like this client manifested an apology. She manifested a change. She actually manifested him also seeking counseling as she was working for me. And she also manifested him like realizing that it was also his fault. Because what I've noticed with trauma people, we can say that they're trauma victims, even in the space of creating your reality, because it does feel like bad things have happened in your physical reality. People that have suffered this way are often taking too much responsibility, apologizing too much, because there's so many negative emotions, guilt and shame that are moving around in the body, that there isn't an ability to think that other people are also accountable for their actions. Remember that even though you create your reality, and even though everyone is you pushed out, and even though you create your experiencing here on the physical planet, that doesn't mean that in your physical reality, people shouldn't say sorry or apologize or come together, have a meeting of the minds to move forwards. Okay. Because I think that's something too, you guys, just saying, there's another fly here in my office with me. You know, I tend to like bugs, like, you know, snails, caterpillars, things. Like my son and I have a really good time in our backyard, but it's like the flies think I like them too. And they're here in my office. If you've had a one-on-one session with me last week, then you saw this fly. I think it's back. Let's welcome it. Why not? In any event, you guys, this stuff is workable, but it all comes down to you. And what I've noticed with people and with this client too, is that it really took her the declaration and the decision and the self-compassion to be like, okay, so I created this, but I'm going to change it by enacting and being and thinking and feeling, no matter what happens outside of me, that I am safe, I am stable, I am secure, I'm doing this, I'm changing myself, I'm changing him, I am wanted, I am desired. Okay. So that's the other thing. Like usually if we have a lot of stuff that's happened in the past, we deep down don't have that self-concept of feeling or being beautiful or handsome or lovable or likable or like perfect or whole or complete. The whole and complete, safe, secure, stable are all kind of very similar in terms of this. But know that through repetition, through thinking new thoughts, you can create that new assumption of self. Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to touch upon that she also asked me about, like, what else can I do besides my mental diet? What else can I be doing? And I said, okay, so let's think of some things that you can do to also calm your central nervous system. So your central nervous system is the reason why we feel nerves or feel nervous, is because we have a central nervous system that is comprised within you of all of your nerves connected together. Okay. So when we feel anxious, when we feel worried, when we feel afraid, we go into a fight, a flight, or a freeze. And that is what gives us this feeling, this unnerving feeling, right? That your nerves are all active, right? So especially if you've experienced trauma in the past, then this probably tends to happen for you. Okay. So what I said was, okay, so let's find some ways to calm your nervous system so that it can help your mental diet. Okay. And I want to encourage you, if you're listening to this and watching this, what helps you calm your nervous system? Like just what helps you calm your nerves? Is it a bubble bath? Is it essential oils? Is it like lemon water? These are just some like stereotypical things that people can do. Is it deep breathing? Okay. Because what we don't want to be doing, which I also see a lot with people that book their first sessions, is I am manifesting now, I'm doing this thing, I'm creating this, I have this idea, I'm creating, I'm thinking new thoughts, I'm doing this way. Okay, that is more of the version of you don't want to be. We want to be the calm, cool, collected, centered self that is safe, stable, secure, open to a relationship, self-loving, self-liking. Now, how do we get from there to there? It's by doing all these things. It's by thinking new thoughts, feeling new feelings, declaring that you are the center of everything and you deserve it. And then also doing these other practices, right? Because when you have a full-blown practice, which is kind of like in modern times we say is like self-care, okay? For eons, people have done things to foster their mental health vis-a-vis fostering their physical health, okay? But all of us have different things. You just want to make sure that you identify and you label and you think on purpose, this is my thing for me. This makes me feel good. Therefore, I'm going to do it because it helps my mental diet. It helps me be a conscious creator and it helps me do this more efficiently, right? So like whatever that is for you, like I encouraged her, you just want to bring that into what you're doing because it really helps you have a full-blown practice. And your mind, the funny thing about it too, is your mind is always listening. Your mind is listening when you're thinking thoughts that people are more important, or your mind is observing you when you put other people consistently all the time above yourself. Now, it's not a bad thing to put others before yourself in times of need. Like if the other day, my son was teething, his cheeks were on fire, poor little thing. Of course, he's first, I'm second, right? But it doesn't mean that as a system or as an idea that I'm always second now because I'm a mom. No, right? So, but these are not, like, I also want to say too, guys, these are not the ways we're taught to be. We're taught to think like what are some common, so some things I hear a lot are, it's better to give than receive, right? Take care of everyone before yourself. Your family, family first, family is more important. Like you have to sacrifice yourself for your family, for others, right? This is the thing. None of those systems or paradigms of thought or realities of thought are what we're talking about here. We're talking about a balance of all these things, but being self-stable, self-actualized, self-loving, self-compassionate, and then doing everything else from there. It means that when you take care of someone else, you're also taking care of yourself. When you take care of yourself, it's good for everyone. Do you see what I'm trying to get at here? Okay. So just like this client, she had a previous relationship with a specific person that involved a bunch of things that I'm not going to say out loud because it's her own individual story, but this is just like a bunch of clients I've seen recently. Just some common themes are physical violence, emotional violence, drinking, drugs, so addictive behaviors and patterns, people leaving, but then coming back, or people leaving and still wanting them, or people leaving and saying, I'm done with you, I'm over this. Okay. So what we had her do, and what I have these clients do, is do all these things, both things, changing the perspective of self first, realizing I create all of this stuff outside of me because of what I expect relationships mean, because of what I think love means. I'm changing myself and therefore I will change them. But please, if this is something that speaks to you, make sure that you're putting your mental diet, your thoughts, all of these things I'm talking about first. And from that place, then changing the specific person. I actually had a client recently who I did a session with that she said she had been manifesting and doing things for a specific person for such a long time. And she hadn't seen movement and change because the biggest thing that she wasn't doing was changing herself. Now, actually, as I say that, that's a theme too with a bunch of people recently, okay? Because this is the thing. We can't think like so-and-so. Tom is safe, stable, secure. Tom wants interdependence. If we're also holding within ourselves, right? I'm unloved, I'm unworthy, I'm not seen, I'm not wanted, I'm not prioritized. It's really difficult. And this client actually pointed this out. It's really difficult to think thoughts that someone else is thinking if we're not thinking them about ourselves first. That's why Mr. Neville Goddard and a lot of our videos are about self-concept, self-concept, self-concept. Now, there isn't one self-concept for everybody, but for the theme of trauma and things that have gone on that just seem so cataclysmic in the past, the self-concept of the stability, of the security, of the self-acceptance, of the self-loving, and of just like, hey, all this happened, but I'm starting anew. All this happened, but I'm starting over because I'm amazing. I'm worth it. I am still here on this planet Earth. That means that I have a purpose. I have a job to do. All right. So just like this client, if you want, you can do the work and you can do the thought change and you can do the new assumption of the new self and therefore the new specific person. And it will be really rewarding. That's what I find with so many people and people I work with and talk to about relationships, is that when they dig their heels in and really, really create that new reality, create that new experience, it's the most rewarding. And I love being a part of it. So, all right, you guys. So I hope that, and I intend that this has helped clear up some major issues, because the topic of trauma and the topic of relationship trauma is something that I think is a little bit taboo to actually talk about to others, especially if your specific person is of that, right? Like, who do you talk to and say, hey, I'm recreating them and in any event? So I'm here to tell you that working with me also is always a non-judgmental, compassion oriented environment, and that I am here to help everybody live the life that they choose, that they want for themselves. Okay. So let's go out this week. Like I always say, start off the week, make it awesome. Do some things for yourself that are different on purpose. Put yourself first, knowing that when you put yourself first and your thoughts first about you, and you bring your thoughts back to the self-concept that you're working on, that it helps everything else unfold that much more magically. All right, you guys, I will see you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.